Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lanika Shelley Williams. I am the National Director of Operations with Racial Justice Network. We appreciate all of you coming out here this afternoon to the press conference. Racial Justice Network is a civil rights organization. We also have in attendance our South Carolina State President, Elder James Williams. We also have in attendance the executive assistant to our CEO, Ms. Hannah Saka, and we also have some of the parents and family of the victims. One of the moms' name is Ms. Yasmin Hamid Smith and Mr. Henry Eldridge. So right now we're going to hear from our state president and then go on from there.
Good morning. We called this press conference expressly to highlight not just this circumstance, but particularly this circumstance. But we want to make mention that the school's administration is being derelict in their responsibility of notifying parents of incidents that occurs in the school, of notifying the community. We know that they would rather do it in a hush-hush manner so that they can release whatever they want to. But our interest is making sure that everyone gets justice, everyone is served properly, and everyone is treated the same. This incident occurred last week, and if there was no follow-up, there would be no notification, no nothing. We wouldn't have heard anything about it. It took follow-up to get an arrest of the person involved and to get the ball rolling. We encourage our state superintendent that when we come to you telling you about what's going on in Florence School District 1, we expect for you to hear us and take whatever actions are necessary. As I said, this is par for course to how this district is being run. Incident after incident has occurred with no notification, without reasonable responsiveness to the children that were involved. I understand that one of these children that were involved were left at the school all day with their injuries. And that's just not the way we believe a school system is supposed to behave. With that said, I'll turn it back over to Sister Shelley and let her go through the...
Thank you. So today we called this press conference to discuss an incident, like Elder Williams said, that took place on May 20th, 2024. On this date, Mrs. Cheryl Wiggins Fillyard assaulted 3 young students at Savannah Grove Elementary School. Now, school is supposed to be a place with loving, stable, caring, responsible, trustworthy adults, or at least, parents think that when they send their kids off every day. The last thing any student should have to endure is danger, injuries, and trauma. Unfortunately, on that day, that is exactly what these students endured. And we're calling it out. We're sick of it. This is sadly also becoming a reoccurring trend or theme with Florence 1 schools, unfortunately. With negligence, incidents happening, improperly reporting them all the way around, not notifying the parents swiftly, not getting kids medical attention like they needed. This is becoming a trend. And this is why we're going to keep doing this until something changes. Allegedly, this whole ordeal started from a discrepancy about a correct book that Mrs. Wiggins Fillyard instructed the children to have. The children then told her that, she was incorrect about the book and told her what the correct book was And this error seemingly made her upset, and she changed her mind about the students working in groups, even though she had previously gave them the option to work with a partner. Now, Mrs. Wiggins Fillyard then proceeded to assault a young man. She dragged this young man from his seat. She choked him by his shirt and put him in his chair and shoved his leg back in the desk. This really scared the group of fourth graders. We're talking about fourth graders. And Mrs. Cheryl Wiggins Fillyard did not stop there. When some of the students went to check on this young man, Mrs. Wiggins Fillyard attempted to search the students' desks, different students' desks, and one of the students told her, "Hey, you can't do that." When she told her that, she struck that child multiple times in the back. She then threw another student out of her chair and onto the floor. Now that student landed on her face, causing some injuries. She then picked that child up by her shirt as well and threw her back down in her chair. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable behavior for anybody who's supposed to be caring for and instructing students. At that moment, one of the students fled the classroom to get help. The staff at Savannah Grove was made aware of this threat, because she's a threat. The school principal, Mrs. Yates Ford, investigated and took the statements from everyone. I'm talking students in the classroom, the victimized students, and including Mrs. Wiggins Fillmore, who only provided her with 3 sentences, and she never denied the accusations. Now, Mrs. Yates Ford ended up escorting Mrs. Wiggins Fillmore off of school property with the observation of a security officer nearby. So the security officer was also aware, which they're there for safety. Hello, we have a safety concern. All this took place. Now, all of this took place without, this happened 8 something in the morning. This took place without the knowledge of any parents. No parents was contacted until after the children was dismissed. So the students were not sent to the nurse. No injuries were treated, nothing. The parents started to receive notification of this incident many hours later, starting at around 3:30. Like I stated, after the students were dismissed. School got out of like 2:15 or something at this school. So all day long, the parents weren't notified until a call from the guidance counselor, Miss Brown, was made. Administration didn't even call the parents. So school administration didn't initially contact the parents, and that violates the South Carolina School Safety Act, as well as Florence 1 District Board policies. Now, the district didn't notify the parents at all, which also violates these policies as well. Oh, and Miss Yates Ford did end up contacting the district. She did contact the district. The parents still have yet to receive any reports or documentations or anything about their children that were hurt on this day. The staffing agency that Mrs. Wiggins Fillyard worked for did send Mrs. Hyman Smith an email of apology for the incident. I have provided you all with that. Law enforcement was not contacted until after school was dismissed. The district, the school, the security officer, and all that knew failed to properly report this incident, even though they are all mandated reporters. The only reason that law enforcement got involved and was notified was because one of the parents took their child, because one of the children was taken to the ER by one of the parents. And since the hospital was also a mandated reporter, they contacted Florence County Sheriff's Office. And at that time, a report was made at the hospital by one of the parents, Miss Yasmin Hyman Smith, who you all will hear from in a second. Now, yesterday, on May 28th, Miss Cheryl Wiggins Fillyard, she was allowed to turn herself into the Florence County Sheriff's Department's custody by her own will. Judge Rivers granted her a $3,271.50 bond. Now, this is completely outrageous. and shows very lacking concern and value for our children's lives and the safety of these students. Now, Mrs. Wiggins Fillyard came into the courtroom with an oxygen bag. She came in there with an oxygen bag, and I find that funny because she did not have an oxygen bag when she assaulted these children. She didn't have an oxygen bag when she's vaping in the classroom like the students had stated. She didn't have an oxygen bag when she took a mugshot, but I guess she came in to do this for sympathy points, and it worked with Judge Rivers, but it will not work with us. All that we ask is that these children and all children of the district be treated like all of them have blonde hair and blue eyes and none of them are disabled. Treat them all the same. That seems to be too hard to ask for. Now we will hear from the parents.
This is an unfortunate situation, something that we don't want to happen to any of our kids. When I think about this situation happening, I think about legislation, elected officials, federal funding. Are you putting the money back in the schools to have qualified and certified teachers in place so some of these events may not happen? The only concern I have is for the children. As a parent, if something happens to my child, I want to be notified as soon as possible. So if policies and procedures are in place, please use them. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Yasmin Hyman Smith. On Monday, May 20th at about 3:28 p.m., I received what seems to be one of the most disturbing calls of my life. I was informed by the guidance counselor at Savannah Grove Elementary School that my 10-year-old daughter had been assaulted by her substitute teacher. I was told that this incident took place at about 8 a.m. that morning, and I wasn't notified until about 3:28 p.m. I'm very disappointed in the way the school, the district, and also the agency that hired the substitute teacher handled this incident. The school, the district, and the security team totally dropped the ball, and the only reason that law enforcement got involved is because I chose to take my daughter to the emergency room to seek medical attention for her injuries. This incident has left my daughter shaken. I am outraged and also heartbroken that a trusted school official would harm my child. I am also calling on Florence School District 1 to take immediate action to ensure student safety and prevent future incidents as such from occurring. Thank you.
We are as well additionally asking the board to provide supervision over an administration that is very lax and very self-serving when it comes down to notifying parents. They PR all the time. I can't open a newspaper or look at my phone without receiving something from them. So they're able to get the word out when they want to about what they want to get it out about. But we think the board has the responsibility of directing the district through the administration, not letting the administration do whatever they will.
The Civil Rights Organization is also calling for maximum charges and sentencing to the highest extent, that Mrs. Wiggins Fillyard never have any children left in her care again, that she be fired if she has not already been done so by the agency. Again, they did not communicate, so we're not sure. We also ask that Florence One Schools install cameras into all classrooms to ensure the safety of each and every one of the students that they are responsible for. We continue to ask for this district to be cleaned up, and we're not just talking about the aesthetics and the new pretty buildings. We are talking about the values, the safety, and the curriculum for all students. If you or anyone to the public, if you or anyone needs assistance from Racial Justice Network, please feel free to reach out to us individually or as well as using our hotline, which is 1-800-694-1981.
And The district has recently voted to secure the services of armed guards in our elementary schools. We believe that that is a serious situation that needs to be discussed with the community about how it's going to operate. I would hate to wait until after something goes wrong, but the probability is good since those people will be armed. We don't know how they're being trained or what they're being trained for. Thank you.